Hey guys, Cacti Man or Johnny here, and today I wanted to teach you what to do once your dragon fruit reaches all the way to the top and you want to form a nice canopy like this to be able to give you fruit, right? Because you need, well, for the most part, I think you need a canopy in order to get fruit. So, there's two methods that I know of. The first method is to do nothing, and that's when people let their dragon fruit grow all the way up out and then come down eventually over time, and then it starts to send out branches, right? And the second method, which I recommend, is letting your dragon fruit grow to a certain amount and then snipping the top with scissors or shears, which forces branches to grow out the side because nothing can grow from this anymore. Once the dragon fruit is cut, it doesn't grow from here anymore, right? So I see people ask which one they think they should do and which one people recommend, right? They ask, why not just let it grow out and just do its own thing? And that's because the main factor that I think has to do with it is time, right? So this branch has been growing out for probably a month now, right? And as you can see from the angle of it, it's barely starting to come down, right? So it still has to come down, which is probably going to take around another few weeks. And then it has to start sending out branches, which is probably going to take another month. So that's like a month, 2 months and a half from starting to form a canopy. Whereas this one, I cut about 3 weeks ago, and it's already starting to send out a branch right there, right? So no method, I think, is the best. Well, I think this one's the best, but they both have their uses. If you don't have time and if you don't really, care about the step-by-step process of growing dragon fruit, then this is for you. Just let it do its own thing, and it will start sending out branches. Whereas this one, this is a time saver, and it grows branches much more quickly, which is what I want to see, right? But in my opinion, I think letting it do its own thing makes it look more natural and more like grown out. Whereas this one looks a little bit more sparse, you know? But it's all up to personal preference. But this one I recommend because, like I said, it only took like around 3 weeks for it to shoot out a new branch and to start forming a canopy. And that's what I want. I like when my dragons produce as fast as possible, right? So how to do this? So all you need to do is when it grows to your desired height, right, which I think is about like 2 inches right here, what I'll do is I'll grab my hand and I'll put it on top of the trellis like that. And once it reaches the under part of my hand right there, then I'll snip wherever it reaches, right? The little tiny growth. I cut it when it's still growing. But I warn you, because if your plant is not mature when you cut it, then, like I said, it doesn't grow, but it does stretch and elongate, right? As you can see, when it's a new growth, these nodes will be closer together. But if you cut it, you'll see that they'll stretch apart and they'll kind of grow by stretching instead of growing from here, right? So I cut it at around 2 inches. I'll put my hand behind there. And as you can see, it grew about 2 more inches, right? So now I have like a 4-inch growth right there. And if you're not careful, when it's growing, it can grow to like 6 inches, 8 inches, And that's when it becomes problematic, I think, because that's when you're having to support branches from like 8 inches above the trellis. And that's like a lot of weight and pressure on the mother plant, Like this condor. I cut it kind of late. And so it grew, it's probably like around 5 inches above the canopy. And now these branches, they risk snapping off because they have to come all the way down at this angle, in order to rest on the trellis instead of like at this angle, which is what I more want. So be careful about that method and plan accordingly. So maybe wait until it's mature so it doesn't elongate as much, right? Because if I cut it now that it's mature, if I cut it right here, it'll stay that length forever. But it's already growing a branch, so I don't really want to do that. Or you can cut it earlier, like maybe like around 1/2 inch to 1 inch on top, and then it'll elongate to maybe around 2 inches, 1.5 inches, right? Which is preferred, but you'll have less nodes available, you see? So, I don't know. I guess if you really want to make it look as beautiful as possible, just cut it at 2 inches, wait for it to mature, and then just cut it again. But it's all up to you. You're basically just snipping it so that it forms branches. And whatever method works for you, go ahead and do it. But yeah, that's my method on taping branches, and I taught you I try to teach you a little bit about, what to expect and what might go wrong. And if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments and I'll try to get back to you. But all right, guys, see ya.